This is Kiru's show here, and whenever we last left off, Deku had just been entered into the semifinals. Now, at this point, Deku has been told that he is now going to be fighting Momo in the semifinals, which he's now concerned about, because she knows a lot about his quirk and how he might have a weakness. So he's thinking and thinking, and he can't really see any way that he might lose, so he's actually a bit more confident. He's thinking that even if he does have to fight her, this shouldn't be very hard. Now, this is whenever Deku, he would walk out onto the stage, and he would be ready for the fight, or the semifinals. As Momo would also walk out. Now, at this point, this is whenever Momo, she would be told as soon as the round's about to start, she would start creating something. Now, as soon as Deku's coming toward her, she would immediately lift up her arm and reveal. Basically, it's like an anti-tank cannon, but it's a bit smaller. It looks like one, kind of, but it's not. Now, as soon as she would reveal this, she would immediately squeeze her hand together, actually firing it off, and it would immediately make contact with Deku. Now, as soon as it would make contact with him, it would hit him dead center, right around this area in his chest, and it would actually somewhat absorb into his body, but it would try and bounce outward, but Deku doesn't want it to go into the crowd, so he would have stopped it from going anywhere. Which is whenever Momo, she would smirk, saying that so it's true then. Or so her idea was correct. As she now just starts firing off as much as she can at Deku. She's essentially trying to make Deku absorb everything so that he cannot absorb her. Which is whenever Deku, he would try to actually get away from her, or trying to find a time to stop and actually get all this out of his body. But this is whenever Deku, he would realize that he actually has to go on the offensive, and he would have immediately charged up his hand and sent the force from whenever she fired the artillery shell at him actually back at her, actually making a shockwave, knocking her off of her feet and making her fly out of the ring. Now, as soon as that happened, Deku, he would have stopped, emptied out his chest of all the shrapnel, all the metal, and everything in his body, and he would have ran over to her, asking her if she was okay. Which she would get up and actually say that she's fine, but it's just she thought that it would work. And she really didn't even pull out the bigger stuff yet. But even then, that probably wouldn't have given her a good chance in the finals. Which Deku would ask what she was going to do, and she would have said that she was going to pull out an M32 and actually try and distract him by shooting smoke all over the arena, and then try and make a giant artillery gun. Now, Deku asked how big this thing is, and she would say that it would be around somewhere around your size, which Deku would be in shock by, saying that might not actually make him absorb it, that it might actually just shoot straight through him. Which she's saying that it's a good thing she lost, then. Now, after this, Todoroki versus Bakugo. Todoroki is doing that same thing with ice, as Bakugo is actually just firing off as many explosives at the ice, and he's actually punching through it. Now, Todoroki would eventually get Bakugo to the edge of the ring, and as soon as he would fire off more ice, Bakugo would have actually tried jumping up into the air, and as soon as he did that, Todoroki would just aim upwards. As he would try and do so, Bakugo would have moved his hand and his leg, and he would have immediately fired off an explosion, actually breaking through the sole of his shoes. which would actually surprise everyone, even Deku. Now, as soon as he did that, he's saying that he really didn't want to show that off, but it looks like he has to now. Oh, God. I will be right back. Okay. This is my third time trying to record this, but immediately just shuts off after me saying hello. Now, hello everyone, this is Kira's show here. Now, I know I just cut the recording, but that got annoying. This has been 20 minutes later, and I just got done with what I needed to do, and I've been trying to record for the last 2 to 3 minutes, but it keeps stopping the recording. Now, when we last left off, Bakugo had just shown that he can use explosives out of his foot now. And he would show that not only has he found a way to use one for all with his own quirk, but he's essentially kind of combining the two. Kind of like what I did with Jiro using one for all in tow with her own quirk boosting it. Now, after this, Bakugo is showing off, and he's actually showing that he is now essentially a living stick of dynamite. As now he is using one for all and his own quirk. So anytime he reaches out to throw an explosion, his explosions are 15 times stronger, if not at least 3 to 4 times stronger. Anytime he's using one for all of his own explosives, this is whenever they would get stronger. 10% would make it 2 times stronger, 20% would make it 3 times stronger. It's like Kaioken, kind of. That's kind of how I attribute it to if someone has a quirk. Now, Todoroki is confused as that's a new one, as he now starts powering up one for all to around 30%, and he is actually throwing explosives, canceling out Todoroki's ice, and it's kind of where half the ring is covered in explosives and fire, the other half is covered in ice, and they're fighting each other for dominance. Now, Deku's really confused, as this is not something he's ever seen Bakugo do. So now he's trying to think of a way to fight him in the finals, which he can really only come to one term, actually capturing Bakugo. Now, after this, Bakugo, he would eventually tell Todoroki that he's not going to get far just using half his quirk. Todoroki says that he's not using half, he's using one of his quirks. He resents his father, so he's not going to use his fire. As Bakugo would say that that's stupid, that's your quirk. Your father doesn't tell you who you are, but if you're not going to use it, you're going to lose. Because I'm giving it all I've got, Midoriya's giving it all he's got, and Yajirozu was doing all she could to try and beat him. In fact, that's the closest I've seen anyone come to beating him. And here you are over here with half-assing anything you're doing. What if you need to save someone and all you need to do is melt through the door with your fire? What are you going to do? Stand out there and wait for it to burn down? Seriously, man, you need to get over yourself. As Todoroki would actually see what Bakugo's trying to do. Deku would immediately just shout that it's your quirk, Todoroki, from the stands, not his. Which Todoroki is now trying to realize, as Bakugo would just shout, just use your damn quirk. As Todoroki would do so, Endeavor's doing that whole Todoroki, you've accepted your purpose thing, as All Might would actually come up and bash him over the head, which would actually knock Endeavor out. Now, the reason why he did that is because it took more convincing for Todoroki, and him hearing Endeavor might make him not want to use his own quirk. Now, Todoroki is trying to hold back the urge to laugh, but he's still got a smirk on his face from seeing that. Which is when Bakugo, he would just immediately start charging up his own explosions, and he's actually cracking explosions from each pore in his body. where his arms are now covered in explosions and his whole body is. Atomic burst would be a good name for this, because he's essentially like having small explosions happening in his sweat glands. Atomic burst sounds good. I was gonna say reciprocal burst, but that's Ida, and I'm still tired, so I got confused. Now, as this is happening, Bakugo would immediately turn himself up to 40%, where his body feels uncomfortable and he feels like he's trying to walk through a river that's literally going up to his neck. Now, this is whenever Bakugo, he would actually go to throw in explosions, and Todoroki's doing his absolute zero move. So Mentos and everyone would actually try and cover the area from the explosion, as Deku would have actually helped jump in, and he would have somewhat been able to protect Class 1A and 1B on the last students by essentially standing in front of it and turning himself into a wall, essentially catching as much of the kinetic force as he can. Now, after doing this, Deku would pull himself back together, actually falling onto the ground, nearly passing out for a second, because that was actually taking a lot out of him to actually catch that. Which is whenever everyone would ask if he's okay, because they essentially saw everything that happened behind Deku. He's saying that he'll be fine, but they just need to, and he would turn, and Bakugo is literally the only person left in the ring. His shirt's blown off, he's he's covered in blood, and the look on his face, he's tired, but he's barely able to stand. He's actually just on his knees with his hands stopping him from hitting the ground. People are looking around, and they're trying to find Todoroki, as Todoroki is actually out of the ring, which is whenever Deku would start cheering on Bakugo, and he would realize that now he has to fight Bakugo in the finals. Now, everyone would watch as Deku would walk into the ring, and after Bakugo actually got healed up and back from Recovery Girl, they would immediately begin the finals after the ring got rebuilt. Now, afterward, Bakugo and Deku are looking at each other and they're staring at each other down in the ring. As Bakugo is saying that, in all the years I've known you, there only ever seems one way to get through that shell. As he would immediately rush toward Deku at about 30%, saying that he's just going to have to force him out as he just starts throwing explosions over and over again. And Deku, he's thinking that this is not very good, as he would immediately just be holding in as much force as he can and kinetic energy, as people would see that Deku, the more he gets hit, the more he gets blown up at, he's actually shrinking smaller and smaller. Now, they would eventually see Deku they would have seen like Deku's actual true form, as Deku, he's holding his arm behind his back, and Bakugo still throwing explosives. Deku would immediately just begin throwing a punch, and as soon as he even twitches his hand, the entire stadium gets filled with a shockwave as Bakugo gets forced backwards. Which is whenever Deku would actually just look down at his hand and see what happened. He's thinking that that's weird, but he would immediately just close his hand and immediately just charge out the energy throughout his entire body. Now, he's actually beginning to glow. His entire body is covered in a shining glow, as he immediately rushes towards Bakugo and he actually tries throwing a punch at him. Now, as soon as he throws the punch, Bakugo would have countered it with his own at 50%, actually going to his maximum. As soon as their fists collide, everyone in the stadium just hears a shockwave boom as every single thing just gets blown backwards in the ensuing force. Now, as soon as that happened, Deku's actually fighting, and he's actually using he would use his other hand to actually try doing it again, as Bakugo is actually countering over and over again. They would be doing this over and over until it gets to the point where Deku has worn himself down, and he would actually jump away from Bakugo, nearly at the edge of the ring, as he would catch himself on one of the tiles, kinda doing this pose. As he would tell Bakugo that it's been fun, but he's all out of power. In fact, he doesn't think he can use his quirk anymore. As Bakugo would start laughing, saying that it's funny because I don't even feel myself sweating. Sorry about that, pulled the cord out. Now, Bakugo is saying that he's pretty sure he's dehydrated because he does not feel like he's sweating anymore. Which is whenever he would say that if that's the case, then it looks like they have to just do this the old-fashioned way. As they both immediately start charging each other, and they would actually start throwing punches. So people are actually confused as they just start cheering it on. Kirishima's crying mainly tears, as Ida is saying that this is vastly against tournament rules, isn't it? Which is whenever Momo would bring up that you just had to be the last person in the ring. They never, that's all it's stated. Until the other person cannot fight. Which is whenever Deku, he essentially has not gone to see Recovery Girl, so he has more stamina. As him and Bakugo just keep punching each other over and over again, it would get to the point where Deku, he would have been knocked down to the ground, and Bakugo would say that he needs to stay down, as Deku would just get back up again, and he would actually just try to use his quirk one last time. Saying that he might have enough energy left, but it's too risky. As he would immediately start charging at Bakugo, one of his fingers are glowing, and he would eventually punch Bakugo in the face, actually getting enough force to somewhat dislocate his jaw, and actually send him back to the ground, as Bakugo would pass out. As Deku would drop to his knees, and he is on the verge of passing out, all he would hear is, young Bakugo is no longer able to continue, as he would just pass out in the ring. Now, after this, Deku would wake up in Recovery Girl's office, as she would tell him that was very reckless and very stupid. So, what you need to do, Midoriya, is you need to eat, and we will do the medal ceremony afterwards. So this is whenever Deku and Momo, they would actually go out to some of the vendors, and the vendors would actually say that they saw the last match because they heard that it was going to be insane. And they knew it was whenever they started hearing the explosions. But the ice match, that was crazy. But your match, kid, that was amazing. So the vendors would actually give Deku a lot of free food. Deku and Momo are surprised, and they would go around tasting a lot of different things, as Deku would actually begin feeling a bit better, because now he has some food in his system. Because one weakness to his actual quirk is if he doesn't have enough food, or he gets to uses his quirk too much, he can essentially suffer the effects of malnourishment, which is not fun. Now, afterwards, Deku would be awarded a medal by All Might, and Todoroki would have third place, Bakugo would be in second. Now, this is whenever everyone would be in class around the next day. They're discussing their internships. They're asking what they should do or whose internships they should go to. And Deku would be told that he has the highest amount of internship requests than any student in Class 1A. Which is when Deku would immediately say that he knows whose internship he's going to, which is whenever he would pick Fat Gums. Now, after this, people are asking why he's picking it, And he's saying that Facum is his hero, and the fact that he's going to be able to work alongside him will be great. And Momo would actually pick his as well. Now then, this is whenever Bakugo, he would get some internship requests, but not a lot. Well, not as much as Deku, but he would probably get around the same as Todoroki, as he would actually pick Endeavor's agency. Now, Deku would actually meet Fat Gum. He would walk in, him and Momo would walk into his agency, and Fat Gum would immediately see Deku, and he would immediately outstretch his hand, and Deku would shake it. That is where I'm going to be leaving this part off of, guys. And I will be going over the stain attack in the next episode. So, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you guys later.